All right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between Happy and Sock taking place here on Hammerfall. On the top left-hand side of the map, we have Happy spawning as the blue undead. Meanwhile, on the bottom right, we have Sock spawning as the yellow human. Should be a great 1v1 matchup here. Sorry for the slight delay in the cast. A lot of my replays ended up getting corrupted. Some minor patches, some desync issues. And after trying to cast 2 or 3 games, then I'm gonna... wow, the audio on my computer just suddenly like cranked up for no real apparent reason. Yes, after some desync issues, well, I'm using 30 minutes, 45 minutes to try and cast games that ended up being broken. I decided to take a little bit of a break as well. Okay, I might need to get new speakers. The speaker volume just suddenly cranked up again. I have no idea what's going on. I am getting a new computer as well, so wow, things are just weird today. Yeah. Getting a new computer, finally getting a new computer after 10 plus years. Can't believe I'm still running on a 6700K. But yeah, getting a new computer, finally. I was trying to get so focused into the game and like computer sounds are just blaring at me. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me change the music volume. There you go. Alright. Why is it...
A player's forces are under
Alright.
attack.
Coming through here. 2-minute mark. It's like the cables are... This is just... Hold on a second. Give me a second. Is my... There we go. Alright, so let's take a look at what exactly Happy's doing. Happy unsummoning his Altar of Darkness. He's gone for a Crypt Lord first, going for a go wide strategy, and now going to go ahead and clear out this creep camp here. Level 1 Archmage going up against a level 1. Oh, it almost sounds like like my computer's trying to do like adaptive audio. Like once there's sound, it suddenly like cranks up the volume and then like comes back down again. Yeah, I don't know if it's... I might need new speakers as well. Well, thank you for all of you guys out there who have been supporting the channel, dropping by donations and doing all of that jazz, helping me support. I don't know, today just feels weird. My audio just cut out again. But I'm looking and I can hear that the game sounds are playing on XSplit, so that shouldn't be a problem. Wow. Problems galore. Anyways, Crypt Lord coming across level 2 does have Impale, does have those carry-on beetles, and the Archmage now completely separated from the rest of his group. There's going to be an Impale, and Sock is going to find himself completely surrounded. Really well played by Happy, just waiting for that timing. All of these footmen now completely out of position. Archmage suddenly finding himself without a scroll of Town Portal, and that is just going to be that much more painful. Not having a scroll of Town Portal means that he cannot go as far away from home. We are going to see Nightfall to try and set up a militia to clear out this relatively easy Kobold Taskmaster creep camp. Archmage may be able to get to level 3 here. Meanwhile, the Crypt Lord clearing out of this Goblin Merchant shop. Sasquatch going to get cleaned up here in just a moment, and we are going to be looking at that Crypt Lord, I believe, just shy of level 3. I believe this is a 5-3-3 creep camp, so it should be just shy, waiting for that Crypt Lord to finish things off there. Meanwhile, Archmage going to go ahead and finish off this Kobold Taskmaster. Should be able to get to level 3 here. Right there's level 3, going to be dropping level 2 water elementals, and suddenly with level 2 water elementals, that's going to be enough damage to really push back at least this set of ghouls. Criplord, however, has some plans of his own, may try to go for an impale. There's a wand of illusion, and in comes a bunch of ghouls now trying to attack all of these poor peasants. All right, Criplord really wants to take down a handful of peasants. If he's able to do so, he'll get to level 3 as well. There's one peasant, another peasant about to get taken down. Ooh, that peasant purposely jumping inside. There's level 3 now on the Criplord, and he's going to be summoning up some of these level 2 beetles, 15 to 18 damage. More ghouls coming across here from the north, and the pressure, the focus, allowing the water elementals to do their thing while the Archmage is running fairly freely. Archmage does pick up Boots of Speed. The Criplord didn't have as many units around to try and offer protection, and with the Water Elemental here, that little bit of range damage and that high range damage here, 33 to 41, it can really put in pressure onto those ghouls. Now those carry-on beetles looking to retreat back here, as we're looking at another set of beetles getting summoned up to put in more pressure. More militia being forced to call over. This is going to severely delay that tech to tier 2, but Happy has not tech to tier 2 either. We've been sitting at tier 1 for quite some time, and wow, the audio is just jumping up and down like crazy. Not quite sure what to make of it. I am buying some additional audio cards and audio interfaces to help me. My audio interface is probably over, it wasn't in my previous computer, so over 12, 13 years old now. So back in the day, you know, before influencers and YouTube and Twitch and all of that, you needed to actually buy like studio equipment for your computer in order to plug in this type of microphone. Anyways, off back to the north here, Footman gonna find this, well, fairly defenseless one Nerubian tower, but a Crippler quickly staffs the teleportation in. Ghouls are gonna be coming across as well, as the Footmen are trying to shut down some of these acolytes, or at least delay. Tech to tier 2, well, gonna be delayed a little bit longer as more acolytes do want to get trained up here. Footman trying to chase after those units. Another Footman gets taken down, and this acolyte just ran around the creep or the blight a little bit, but does stay close to home still. Meanwhile, back down to the south side here, we're looking at a little bit of damage coming across, and well, there goes another beetle again. There goes a ghoul. Archmage getting very close to level 4, and well, needs to perhaps put up a blacksmith right here. Wow. Blacksmith right here to try and protect this gold mine line from all of those melee attacks. Blacksmith here, tech to tier 2, is now halfway done. Meanwhile, tech to tier 2 just getting started for Happy. And, well, we all know how this unfolds. The players will quickly try to go to tier 3. Archmage, however, comes across here, does summon up, does get to level 4. There are a lot of beetles here, water elementals, but one of them is just an illusion. And you're going to see that, well, oh, Happy was purposely trying to get the last hit right there. Doesn't get the last hit. Are we going to see a summon of this water elemental? Oh, water elemental gets thrown into the air for the experience, but does line up a couple of other attacks as well. Archmage sitting at 4.5. I thought the Goblin Zeppelin was going to pick up that water elemental. We saw that impale pretty much coming from, well, a mile away, as this Criplord now looks to come back. All right, Blacksmith is nearly done. Tech to tier 2 nearly done. We are sitting on a decent amount of lumber, but he'll want to go to tier 3, train up another hero, and then also build up a good amount of workshops as well, as that is the typical undead strategy. Building up additional, well, farms off to the side here. We already teching to, well, getting up that Mountain King, not teching to tier 3 yet. Does have a lumber mill now, and with that lumber mill should be teching to tier 3 fairly soon. There's that tech to tier 3, as we mentioned, as the Archmage and Water Elemental are trying to push back against that Criplord off to the side. All right, slow regeneration on a bunch of Footmen. 45 supply compared to 42. Thank you for the sub. Hello, where did you get that from, Crota? What do you get what from? Happy is playing live. No, this is not live, and I think someone just gave subs, so thank you again. Gonna make paying for my new computer that much easier, as we're looking at, well, a bunch of Criplords now looking to back away again. That beautiful smile. Someone's trying to riz me, I see. All right, well, my wife asks me that every day, and I'm so glad I'm able to pass this beautiful smile off to my kids. And well, and I don't know, like my children. I'm happy my children have my wife's smile as well. Has a little bit more flesh in the face, not as gaunt. All right, would you join me for a successful Riz? Aw. All right, coming back down here, we are going into triple Griffin Aviary, so we should be looking at some Dragon Hawks, maybe a Griffin or two to try and handle some of those Obsidian statues. How many subs were given out? Thank you very much. Definitely needed because a Blizzard made it difficult to try and cast games all last week since all of those replay sync issues. Gave 20 subs. Thank you for the 20 subs. That definitely does help out. Yeah, new audio interface that I purchased and other. Well, sitting right here actually. I need to plug it into that new computer soon. All right, coming back around. Archmage trying to put pressure on the Death Knight. Death Knight does have a potion of mana as well. Should be looking at a Death Coil into that Crypt Lord. No, going for that Crypt Fiend instead. Meanwhile, Mountain King shows up to the party, and this could suddenly become a bit of a problem. Crypt Lord, well, I think a Scroll of Healing. There's a Thunderclap there. A lot of damage being done. 42 supply compared to 47. This is actually time for Sock to actually clear out a bit of his supply as well, as I'm assuming that he wants to transition also into Night. Mountain King unable to finish off this Crypt Fiend there. Meanwhile, a lot of damage still coming back across. Are we going to see another Death Coil? We are. So a lot of Death Coils by that Death Knight to try and keep some of these units alive. Death Knight gets up to level 2. Deny onto that Crypt Fiend there, as the units are still getting picked off. 41 supply compared to 50 supply now for Happy. But you got to imagine that, well, Animal War training, Griffins now getting trained up, trying to, train up all of these units and, well, break into low upkeep by avoiding all of those taxes. Why did you give so many? Why not? Because sometimes it's nice to support people you want to support out there, right? If you have the means to do it, then you go ahead and do it. Yeah. Been watching Crota for years, many years. You want to give something back? Yeah, I think that's ultimately why people try to do nice things, right? There are many people out there who have watched my channel since 2009. I get those comments quite often, and eventually, and people have been going through hard times for a while. So people have said, I want to donate, but I can't. And this was like during the Great Recession, and I'm like, no, I totally get it. Just enjoy. Hopefully my love for WarCraft 3 and gaming is infectious, and you gain something as well. And then years later, they'll come back and be like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm a little bit in a better place, and I wanted to say thank you for all of those years. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So knowing that. And being able to continue to do this after so many years. Once again, I don't do it for the money, but the money definitely does help keep the lights on, right? And as good inspiration as you're gonna learn as you get older, your time becomes one of those things, one of those resources that you never truly value when you're younger, because you seem to have an excess amount of time and you don't know what to do with it. But when other people, family obligations, trying to take care of kids, teaching kids trigonometry, oh my gosh, and at the end of the day, you realize how you spend your time is important too. So, yeah, thank you, and thank you. Coming back around, Archmage, Mountain King, Paladin, gonna go ahead and teleport out of here. One Acolyte sniped down. That's gonna get easily trained back up. So far, both of these players have been exchanging jabs while teching to tier 3 and their heavy hitters. You can see a Staff of Sanctuary also has been picked up. Archmage has picked up that Orb of Slow, and that orb of Slow, interestingly enough, almost feels like an orb of lightning in terms of its usefulness, like occasionally stopping a unit in its tracks. That's exactly what often happens with a Blade Master using that orb of lightning on say on destroyers. Being able suddenly purging down or slowing down a destroyer allows those normally magic immune units to have their movement speed affected and slowed down. And once they're slowed down, it allows these flying machines, normally faster moving flying machines, to be able to catch up. We've all seen, faster moving flying machines doesn't really work when your opponent already has a level 3 Death Knight or a level 4 Death Knight with Unholy Aura. Flying machines still, flying about here. 75 supply compared to 80. Both sides sitting on near max low upkeep. More flying machines going to get trained up here. No weapon upgrades, surprisingly here. Only armor upgrades for these air units, or no, 2-1 upgrades for the Griffins, no weapon upgrades for the other units here. As we're going to see the Obsidian statues. Oh, they should have gone straight for that Obsidian statue instead of going for that Cripping. Cripping does get taken down. There's a quick web there. And there's that magic damage going straight after those Obsidian statues that I mentioned. All right, going after these units here. A bunch of web. The flying machines also taking a lot of that target. Paladin, trying to dive in. Mountain King comes in with a level 2 clap, slowing things down here as more Griffins actually need to join in on the fight. You can see some more Devour magic in the backside here. Another Obsidian statue getting taken out as the flying machines have nothing to attack. Without anything to attack right there, we're going to see this Abomination get taken down. No, able to escape at 90 hit points. This is those frantic, crazy moments where focus firing those lower hit point units to deal maximum damage and, to gain a little bit more experience. However, it is a 5-3-3 versus 5-3-3. Happy on the receiving end of and a loss in that particular battle, but we've seen Happy recover nicely and ultimately win the war far too often. WarCraft info. All right, yeah. Coming across to the side here, a couple of ivory towers placed down. Are we going to see eventual setup of an expansion? That may be the case. We're seeing more Griffins quickly trying to replace here as the flying machines still don't have any real targets to attack. It is the threat of destroyers that is often the big thing here, especially as these Obsidian statues are already out on the battlefield. So sometimes it feels like, hey, you're training up those flying machines and your opponent then never goes into destroyers and you kind of waste about 6 supply. But if you don't fly and if you don't train up those flying machines and bring them out to the battle, then the destroyers are definitely going to be there. And once you try to target down those Obsidian statues. So it's one of those situations where you gotta build the counter to your opponent's counter. Otherwise, and you got to let your opponent see it. Otherwise, they're going to be brought to the battlefield anyways. We don't see any real knights out here on the battlefield, which is a big surprise. I would have thought with all of the Crypt Fiends, Sundering Blades would work out, but we do see a couple of destroyers in the air, and it is important to note those blue bars are nearly full. They have mana. Destroyers with mana is an absolute problem, as they do get that splash damage in. Fly Machine trying to figure things out here. Massive battle coming across. The Abominations quickly getting taken down there. And now with no knights down here on the ground, Fly Machines are trying to finish off the destroyers. There's some more damage coming back across here. Paladin coming down. Mountain King getting in some big thunderclaps as the fly machines are now getting shot down here. All right, this cannon tower is going to get in some siege damage as well. There's another thunderclap. There goes an impale. Mountain King could be in trouble. No, Paladin still has plenty of mana, and we're looking at that Mountain King still going after all of these targets. 56 supply compared to 66 right now. Human on the receiving end of a bad beatdown as we now see a level 4 Lich. Mountain King, Paladin continuing to push forward with all of that pressure. Are we going to see death? Yes, there's death of a Mountain or a Crypt Fiend there. Paladin gets the kill off of a Holy Light. And now we're looking at, trying to defend this location here. Scout Tower trying to upgrade. Are we going to see some damage here? Arcane Tower, Thunderclap. All right. Big thunderclap across all of these units, but the Obsidian statues are still in play. Meanwhile, we're looking at a Crypt Lord. Crypt Lord could be in trouble. Crypt Lord going to get taken down. However, there is that Ankh of Reincarnation. Happy needs to stick around in this battle a little while longer, waiting for the resurrection, as we see another getting taken down. A burrowed Crypt Fiend right there. Both sides battling up. Crypt Lord gets up to level 6 as the Mountain King still dancing around here. All right, Scout Tower quickly getting cancelled. 53 supply compared to 69. Sock needs some reinforcements. Archmage now trying to retreat back here, and this expansion may end up getting taken out. All right, Cannon Tower trying to finish things off there. and we saw all of those Crypt Fiends able to web down all of those targets, and webbing down so many of those flying machines, so many of those griffins, and then once you remove the mobility of those flying units suddenly and made them stationary, well, their relatively short range does come into play. Remember, Crypt Fiends, outranging their opponent by 100 right there. Right, more flying machines getting added up. Are we going to see a Stormbolt? Yes, Stormbolt on to that Crypt Fiend. Crypt Fiend going to end up easily getting taken out. Flying machine's going to come back around. They need to go after those Destroyers. Destroyers on the upside right now don't have nearly as much mana, so they're not going to be able to take down the flying machines with splash damage as much. 6-4-4 going up against a 5-4-3. Sock is up against the ropes right now. He needs to figure out what exactly he wants to do, and he is currently banking up a lot of gold, but he needs to time this perfectly. Gold in the bank and units being trained do not help out on the battlefield. He's trying to maximize his gold as much as possible, and maybe getting, train, all at the same time. Is he going to get a knight as well? Yes, suddenly training up 16 supply in a matter of, or 19 supply. 18 supply in a matter of seconds. All right. We're looking at the Destroyers able to get in some big damage again. The Destroyers were getting in some splash damage. As you noticed, that Scout Tower never really attacked, but since those towers were built so closely together, they were taken out. All right, flying machines, griffins, Mountain King going to try and engage here, but these Crypt Fiends with the ability to be able to web down targets, just such a big issue. All right, I'm going to go ahead and target down those Crypt Fiend webs seemingly lasting for so long. And just taking out those units. And since they're on auto cast, it doesn't take very much, as we're still looking at a little bit more damage. Paladin going to try and test the waters here, but the Destroyers, Destroyers, Crypt Fiends making sure that Sock is not mining off of this base. Sock currently sitting on one base, could be in a little bit of trouble. Flying Machines trying to engage. Flying Machines unable to catch up in terms of speed, as we saw that Unholy Aura causing quite a bit of problems. All of the Flying Machines now getting pretty much webbed down. We see a couple of Impales as well. Frost Nova onto a Knight. We're looking at some more damage again. Griffin's trying to finish off some of those additional units. Are we going to see another Destroyer taken down? No, we are not. It's able to back away in time. Crypt Fiends, however, getting taken down. Paladin, or Death Knight gets up to level 5. Crypt Lord with Carrion Swarm, and the Crypt Fiend with a beautiful save at the last moment still also has a push of invulnerability in order to stay alive. 15 seconds is going to seem like an eternity for this game here, as the Archmage, Mountain King, and Paladin do not look like they'll be able to finish things off, and that is going to be the game. Ultimately, Sock unable to really outlast against Happy seeing the units that Sock was creating, and created the perfect counter army. Getting up those obsidian statues, purposely getting Destroyers out with mana, and putting pressure at that 3 o'clock base. Once Sock's 3 o'clock base was gone, the economic advantage was gone there, and Happy, with that slight hero level advantage, could still do much. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.